Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike and this is my 2005 Mercedes E55 AMG. In this video, I'm going to show how to replace the plate lights, the license plate lights, with this style of replacement LED. From my research, these are better than the simple bulbs that go in, the LED bulbs. I've used this type in the past and I've had no issues with error messages on the dash. In addition, I'm going to be installing a little trunk lip spoiler. I'll show the details of that. So let's go ahead and get started. You may have watched some other videos on this, and I'm creating this video because I haven't seen one that's totally comprehensive. The job is not a lot of fun because you got to take a lot of stuff apart. The good news is I'll walk you through it. Start by removing the license plate. Here's a quick pro tip on the license plate. I live in Arizona, as you can see, and I really rarely drive this car in the rain, but I do wash it. I've noticed I don't have the screws down in the bottom. This is the way I got the car, and there is effectively a hole right here now, and water gets in there. So when I go to open the trunk after I've washed the car, I can hear water kind of sloshing around. Not a good thing, and you certainly want to cover that. So also in this video, I'm going to put a plate frame on there, pretty straightforward. I'll show you how that goes. All right, so with that, I'll go ahead and remove the plate. Okay, with the license plate removed, the next thing to do is remove these screws that you'll see all along this section here. These are a T25. For me personally, couple things. I like to always use hand tools. I don't like using power tools when working on cars, just in case you've got it in the wrong direction and you strip something out. And I also use a magnetic tray just to hold all the parts to make sure I don't lose anything. So I'll just go ahead and unscrew all of these. When you get to the last one, you'll see you just basically pull this piece out. So let me go ahead and remove these. With all the screws removed, you can use either a panel popper or just take your hand and you just want to kind of put your fingers underneath here, or even use this piece to pull, and then just gently pull this piece out and it'll come right out. Okay, with that trim piece removed, the next thing to do is to remove these two plastic covers that cover the trunk arms. You notice there are some push clips. These clips are the same clips that are used throughout this piece, which we'll be removing next. If you're not familiar, the way that these work is this is basically a pin that goes into kind of a female piece, which spreads out to hold it in place. These are a little bit tricky to get to. I would suggest carefully taking like a pick tool, a right angle pick tool, and you can see where I'm pulling this piece out. And now it's a little tricky to do while I'm on camera here. If I go ahead and remove it like that, you can see that piece. So again, you want to do that on both sides. And then on the back side of this, you can see there's these little straps. For those, what I would do is kind of squeeze this together while you're kind of pulling on this. And tricky to do with one hand, but basically that should pop off at that point. And there is just the one here, and then there's one on the other side. With the clip out and this piece removed, all you need to do is basically just take this and just kind of slide it down and out of your way. You don't need to go crazy with this because you're just looking to be able to get this out of the way for the carpet. All right, the next thing is going to be to remove all of the clips. There are 9 total that hold that piece in. And again, those are gonna work the same way as the clip I just showed you. If you're not aware, there are a couple. There's 1 and there's 2 that are kind of up underneath there. So next, just go ahead and remove all of those and get all those fasteners out. Okay, when I'm dealing with these clips on a flat surface, instead of the pick tool, I only use the pick tool on the hinge bar covers because it was tough to get to. Otherwise, I'd use this type of a tool. And what I do is slip this in and I'd pull that piece right out and then go ahead and gently remove this piece, just like that. Okay, with all the clips removed, let me just briefly explain what you're gonna do here. Just go ahead and pull this down. You gotta get it around these little things. And then there are gonna be 2 harnesses, one for the dome light inside of the trunk and one for the safety light as well. Those are just a couple little push clips. You can also use a pick tool to remove those harnesses. And then you're gonna kind of just lift this off the trunk bars. So dropping it down like this. Here is the harness for the light. There we go. And then may want to kind of pull this up a little bit to get it off the trunk bars. And now you can get to this other harness, and this just pushes in like that, and this entire panel is removed. And just for a little bit more visibility, this is the clip for the safety light, and that just pushes down. And then this is going to be the harness, which actually just pushes in for the actual interior light for the trunk. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is remove the entire piece that my hand is on. If you notice the seam right there, this bottom piece where the license plate is mounted is removable, and that needs to come out in order to be able to gain access to the license plate lights, despite those screws being there. To take this piece off, here again, I'm going to just briefly explain how to do this. There are two 8mm acorn nuts, if you will, just these capped nuts here. There's going to be one right here, and this basically is just going to have a stud that comes through this piece. So one here, one on the other side, and then if you recall, we took the license plate out. There is that, I believe that's an 8mm, 7 or 8mm as well. That is basically the backside of this. I've had several of these cars, and in some cases this is a screw head or a bolt, and you've got to get a wrench on there, which is why you want to pull the plate off. I pull my plate off because I'm replacing my license plate frame anyway, so that would allow me to get to it. Now, with those 3 screws removed, you'll notice, and I'll show it when I get this off because it may make more sense. You can see it right here. This is basically shaped like this, and it slides over the trunk lid itself. So when you remove everything, this piece is going to just basically slide off. All right, so let's go ahead and get that done. Sorry, one other thing I forgot to mention. You probably want to do this last after you've got all the screws removed. There are push clips along the top of this that hold that in, just plastic clips. I've noticed, and this is the first time I'm getting into this on this car, I've noticed mine was not aligned properly because the clips are not pushed in, right? You can see there's a pretty nasty lip there. So, so again, after you pull the screws off, get your hand in there and just pull up, and you hear the clips pop. You're not going to break anything, and then drop the panel down. Okay, at this point, I have all 3 pieces of the fasteners removed. This is what the one looks like behind the license plate. So on mine, there was no head. It's just got basically a square piece, and it goes into a square hole in there. So now what you want to do is take this, and I'm going to just gently pull this, and you can hear the clips starting to unclip. And then I'm just running my finger kind of down here carefully. Again, you can use a panel popper, but anywhere I can avoid doing that, I prefer to do so. There we go. And just nice and slow, we're gonna work it. I'm gonna get the other end. There we go. All right, so now all that is loose. Now what I'm gonna do is lift this up, and I should be able to slide, again, pulling this towards me. There we go. Okay. And there is a plastic, kind of a sealer that's in here. All right, so now this whole piece comes off, and I'll put that to the side. Okay, if you're interested, here's just a detailed look at what this thing looks like from the back. There's the stud, and you can see those clips, the plastic clips. Thank God mine are still intact and in good shape. And I just set this piece on top of my trunk lid cover just to keep it from getting scratched. So that's what it looks like, and now I'll show you the actual car side. Okay, with the panel removed on the car side, this is what it's going to look like, and notice now we have the ability to drop those lights down, which we'll do in just a moment. I just realized how much dirt was caked in this area, so I just very carefully took my vacuum and vacuumed that out. Now I'll just give it a quick wipe. I can't stand working on things that are dirty. All right, that's better, and I'll do the same thing to the actual panel before I install it. All right, next thing we're going to do is talk about removing the lights. Okay, I have removed this light. It's not going to be terribly effective for me to show you me removing the light. What I want to show you is how the light mounts, therefore you can get to it. The way that these go in is there's this little push clip right here. that goes in the bottom right here. So this is going to go in like that, right? So all you need to do is get in behind here. It's a little bit tight. And then you're effectively just going to push down on this clip, and the light's going to pull out. If you've already taken the cover off trying to get the light out, go ahead and put the cover back on because you don't need to. One of the other things I would suggest as well is I labeled which one was the right one. I'm not worried about the left side because just a way to be able to tell them apart. Because if you go into the car, if you ever have one of these go out in your LEDs, it's going to tell you left side or right side plate light, and you want to make sure that you haven't crossed these wires. The harnesses, the plugs are the same, so you theoretically could invert them. Don't know if you caught that, but I labeled the wrong wire. Oops, you get the point. All right, moving on. Okay, to install the light, pretty straightforward. I've got the wire through the hole. Now I'm just going to take this. Again, there's only one way this can go. I will get this plugged in and ensuring that it's secure. And again, the clip's going to go on the bottom on this side, and then, let me actually move the camera. Okay, that's a bit better. You can see it's in there now, and I'll just click it into place. And there is a shot of it installed. Okay, I'll try to do this where you're not totally blinded. I'm just doing a quick comparison. There's the original, there's the LED. Looks a lot brighter. It is a heck of a lot brighter. It's kind of a cooler color also. Okay, at this point, I'm just gonna redo the same procedure, just repeat that procedure for the other light. Okay, with both lights installed and plugged in, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the lights on just to test, make sure everything looks good, and we are good. Now I can go ahead and reassemble. Before reinstalling the back panel, I suggest cleaning it. I noticed that there was a ton of dirt. Again, I'm in the desert, so it's like baby powder and it goes everywhere. But I had a whole bunch stuck in here. There was also a really, really thin plastic, kind of a membrane that went around this. Most of it was kind of deteriorated, and the rest of it I just pulled off. One last thing, I would suggest double checking all of your clips to make sure none of your clips stuck into the trunk itself. If so, pull those out and then reattach those to this piece. And now at this point, we'll go ahead and get this piece reinstalled. Okay, if there's a tricky part to this whole job, this might be it. Again, what you're going to do is take the panel and first catch it on these corners. And once it's on the corners, drop it in these ends and then secure the clips. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, so I got the bottom, I think, on both sides secured. Now I'll drop it down, and that stud ready to where it's supposed to go. I'm also gonna notice how I'm kind of holding this and lifting up. And I'll go ahead and pop in those panels, clips. This side, let me make sure this is up and in position. There we go. Okay, that should do it. I'm just going to check that line. That all looks good. And now at this point, I'm going to resecure my 3 fasteners. Again, there's just the 2 nuts here, and then there will be the piece that goes in here, that bolt in the nut. Okay, all 3 fasteners are reinstalled. I hand tightened all 3, then I went around and torqued them. Don't go crazy on those 2. You just want to, snug them up good. And again, checking the line. Everything looks really good there. And here's a quick shot of what it looks like. Now you can see, and it's tricky, man, I'll tell you, it looks like those lights will pop right out, but you can't get them around this housing that I just removed. All right, I'll continue to the next step. All right, I'm gonna continue on and just once again, reverse the order of everything. Next thing I'm gonna do is get my trunk carpet panel piece tucked in to, there's a couple of little tabs right here on this plastic bar. Let me show you that. All right, this is the detail I wanted to show you here. See this little tab? So again, this piece is gonna push up against here. the carpet goes in between that little gap. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just roughly get that into place. You don't have to go crazy at this point. I'm just gonna set it in there, which kind of lowers it down to get it better positioned. And now, again, before I push this all the way up, I'm gonna re-secure my harnesses. The first one will be for the emergency light. And again, these just clip right in. Next one's for the dome light. And now I can take this and just kind of push it into place. And if you put it right over these little bump stops here, which are the height adjusters for the trunk, that'll kind of hold it into place. And the next thing I would do is suggest securing the this end here, the trunk covers, trunk bar covers. Okay, so that's kind of a detailed shot of what that looks like. Again, nothing's secured, it's just kind of hanging there. And now you want to go around and reinstall the push clips. Okay, to reinstall the push clips, what you want to do is either have it pulled out like this, and then you're just going to push this piece in. Once this seats up against the carpet, just simply push the pin in. Or I like to just pull them apart. I'll try this one-handed here real quick. And I just stick this piece in first, and I'll run around and do all of them like that. Once they're all good and in position, then I'll put in the locking tabs. One other quick suggestion, before you install those tabs, notice my lights are on now. When you plug the lights in, they won't be on. I would suggest closing the trunk, opening the trunk. Now the lights are gonna be on, just as a final test before you reassemble. All right, we're back to all the clips being installed. Don't forget the two here on either side of the trunk bar. All right, now we'll go on to the last step. All right, last step in this procedure is going to be reinstalling this plastic part. Pretty straightforward, only one way it can go. There are these little push tabs, which are where the screws go in, that'll kind of lock in. So you just want to push it on like that. You can hear it kind of clicking into place. There we go. And I recommend seating the whole thing before you install any of the screws. With that seated, I'll go ahead and grab my screws. Again, I got my little magnetic tray, Harbor Freight. These are like $2. And I personally, again, completely opposed to power tools in this kind of situation. So pretty straightforward. Again, I'll just go around and reinstall the screws. One last thing I almost forgot to mention. Once you've secured the carpet, you want to clip this piece back in. It just locks in place like that, and do it on both sides. All right, there you go. Nothing to it. All total, that took me 1 hour and 15 minutes, and that includes me recording and turning the camera on and off and all that. Looks really nice, a lot brighter, substantially brighter, and makes the car look quite a bit more modern, I think. So if you're interested, there's a couple of other things I'm going to be doing on this video. I'm going to install a rear spoiler, and also I've got a plate frame, pretty straightforward there. It's 4 screws, but I'll show you how that looks when it's all set. All right, let's move on to the bonus footage on this video. Next thing I'm going to do is install this little trunk lip. This is a carbon fiber lip, but as you can see, I had it painted to match the car. It was kind of in a rough shape, I think. I got this on one of my other E55s that I had purchased, but it was in rough shape. I didn't want to mess around with re-clearing it, and I like to be different. I've got, on the front of the car, I recently installed a black lip there, so everything's going to be pretty consistent. All right, so installing the lip, I'm going to use double-sided tape to do that. What I would suggest before you go to install one of these, dry run it, kind of put it on the trunk, make sure it's going to fit good. I've already done that. And the next thing I'll do is start to apply the double-sided tape. All right, as far as the tape is concerned, I'm using a 3M. This is specific for automotive moldings. I've got it on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. This is 1/2 inch wide, and this is the back side of the lip. And what I'm going to do is put it on this flat surface here. It goes kind of on the top of the trunk. And then I'm also going to do it on the inside here. Put it on both surfaces, kind of all the way through. I will not remove the adhesive just yet, and I'll show you why in just a moment. All right, this is what the tape looks like when applied. This was really clean when I got it back from the body shop, but you may want to take, especially if yours is brand new, there could be a little oil residue. Just hit it with some isopropyl, rubbing alcohol, and a clean paper towel, something like that. Notice also I skipped over the place where it's got this logo. I don't want to put the double side tape there because this is raised up and it's not going to seat properly. It's going to be a little higher. So, so I've got that tape, and then I'll just go ahead and install some additional tape along those two edges. That worked out perfect. I had just enough to do the areas that I wanted to do. Notice I'm not too close to the edge, and I've pressed down really good on this. And again, I'll leave this on the piece right now, and then we'll bring it over to the car. All right, this might be a little bit over the top, but it's kind of how I roll. What I did was I placed it where it looked like it was centered. Then I applied these two pieces of tape to the lip. Then I went around and checked. You can even measure, like, in my case, there was about 3/16 of the trunk visible. Like that's what was basically hanging over the edge. I also checked the gap there versus there. And then, again, made sure the gap was good here. Now I put my tape here to mark this. Now I'll take it back off before I resecure. But now I've got a placement line. One other thing I didn't mention, if you're removing an old spoiler, like maybe to put a new one on, use dental floss or fishing line, and I'm sure there's a million videos online about how to do that. All right, the next step is going to be to clean the trunk lid. You want to try to focus on just the area that where you're going to be securing the lip. In this case, I'm using 70% isopropyl, which will remove wax and any ceramic coating. So you don't want to go crazy with this if you've had your car ceramic coated. By the way, in an upcoming video, we're going to be doing a full paint correction on this car, including ceramic coating. So I'll be showing that. So basically, I've got a brand new microfiber. Just put some isopropyl on it. And I'm just going to, again, being careful of my tape here. Just going to wipe off the area where this lip is going to be mounted. Doing both sides where both surfaces will have the tape. Okay, that should be it. We're good and clean. Next, I've removed all of the backing for the tape in preparation to install the piece. Okay, next thing I've done, as you can see, is I popped on some toothpicks. I've got 4 toothpicks in place, which is going to allow me to get the piece in, push it where I need to get it, and then as soon as I pull the toothpicks out, I can kind of push down. All right, and again, I got to be cognizant of my tape lines that I've got here. And I want to start with very, very light pressure, almost no pressure, just the weight of the lip. Okay, so that feels like it's positioned really well. I'm right up against my lines here where I was. Now we'll go ahead and I'll go from one end to the other, removing the toothpick and just putting, again, just a very slight amount of pressure. And I'm pushing this way to ensure that both the top and the side go in together. Now I can go around, apply a little bit more pressure. At this point, it's stuck. If I needed to move it, I would have an issue. And let me grab the camera and I'll show you my alignment. You can see there, I am precisely where I want it to be. And again, now I'm just going to go around and apply more pressure and get the entire piece secured. All right, so applying more pressure. Unfortunately, it's the coldest time of the year for us here in Arizona. It is 60 degrees out during the day right now, whereas in the summer it's about 110, 115. When it's that hot out, adhesives work great. But this should be fine. The garage is probably 70, 75. All right, so at that point, we are good and secure. I like the way it looks, and I'll go ahead and remove my placement tape. All right, so looking from this angle, you can see, I think it looks sharp. I think it's pretty close to stock. I know that some of these came with a little spoiler. I didn't want anything too crazy, just something kind of mild. All right, last piece of the puzzle is going to be the license plate frame. All right, all set. I'm not 100% convinced about that AMG sticker on that license plate frame. It's just a chrome frame. If I don't like it, I'll remove it later. But I think all in all, that looks good. It's a nice little subtle upgrade to the back of the car. So that should be it. Thank you very much for watching. There will be a bunch more content on this car on this channel. And also check out my channel for Carmisa. That is the BMW that's underneath that cover. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Take care.